Jim McLaren, President of the NFUS, we've had a suggestion from the Commission on how CAP is going to proceed with its communication. Is it going in the right direction, in your opinion?
The issue for Scotland really is the very specific challenges that we face there and how we make any communication from the EU on the future of CAP fit into Scotland's particular challenges, or perhaps that should be the other way around. How can Scotland's real challenges fit into that CAP document? And by the real challenges for Scotland, I'm talking mainly about the LFA area. 85% of Scotland's land is LFA. It's the reverse of England, where it's 15% in England. So very specific challenges. And of course on that LFA, it's livestock grazing systems, extensive systems of livestock grazing. And how do we target support these active farmers involved in those production systems?
The Commission seems to have suggested a model whereby LFA will fall partly in Pillar 1 and partly in Pillar 2. Is that going to work?
Well, interestingly, Brian Pack's proposals, which came out just about 10 days ago, did also hint at the possibility of having some of the LFA money perhaps paid in Pillar 1. It's a kind of Pillar 1 type payment, I suppose, LFA. It's a direct payment in that way. My concern about moving it into Pillar 1, or even part of it into Pillar 1, is that the budget may not go with it. So in this time of tight budgets, managing to switch the policy back into Pillar 1 and take the money with it is the challenge. The converse of that, of course, by leaving it in Pillar 2 is that it could become an environmental payment, and that also would be a travesty, because LFA is there to compensate for specific disadvantages, for income forgone and extra costs incurred with farming in these difficult areas.
Another suggestion that's come from the Commission, which might be slightly controversial, is capping of payments. How might that affect Scottish and indeed UK farmers?
Yeah, capping of the cap, it's a crazy suggestion, quite frankly. If we can justify as an industry the first pound that we're paying to farmers in support, it is exactly the same argument to justify the last one. And a cap on payments would have a really detrimental effect on the UK and particularly on Scotland. Although our payment per hectare in the UK is just about the European average, just around the €250 per hectare, indeed in Scotland it's much less than that. The issue of capping is at a business level, not at a hectare level. So our much larger farm size in the UK, and again in Scotland, our larger business size means we would be disproportionately affected in the UK by capping. And crucially, of course, the money that would be saved by the cap does not stay within the member state. It's money that would remain in Brussels, in the central pot, and would not come to the UK. So it's a loss to the UK systems, and we need to absolutely oppose capping at every turn. And I'm delighted that the NGOs that I've been speaking to are equally, certainly RSPB, have already stated their concerns about capping and would support us in that opposition.
The C of CAP stands for common, but some people have suggested it should perhaps stand for complex. Are things becoming more complicated?
Well, it's a balance, Will, is it not, between complexity and delivery. And the more complicated you make it, as we've already seen in England, the bigger the cost of administering it. I think the rough numbers in England already, the cost of administering each claimant's details is about £1,800. In Scotland, it's about £200. Now, that's of course because we've remained at the minute with a simple historic system from which we fully recognise we have to move away. But it's how you balance that move to give the delivery, targeting the money at activity, making sure the right people are claiming, whilst not overcomplicating it. Now, Brian Pack's proposals, which you may or may not have had a look at, I recommend people have a look at them if they're on the Scottish Government website. Brian's proposals go some way to addressing these issues, and but particularly the challenges in the LFA, I don't think have been fully rectified.